Hello and welcome to the Save the Punter Betting Show, the programme where we do the research for you so you don't have to. Every week we preview the biggest English football games and advise you of where we think there's value to be had to make your sports betting life a little easier. Okay, gents, it's been a while since we've been together. I think Gameweek 15, where we had another profitable podcast. We had 2.15 points profit from not that much stake, which was good. You both correctly predicted that Newcastle City would be a low scoring game. The under 2.5 and under 3.5 both came in. We also had a nice winner on over 2.5 in Parris v Villa. And then we had both my bets were losers, which was Arsenal v Chelsea. I went for Chelsea, which lost. And the overs and both... Oh, no, my other bet was a winner. Overs and both teams to score in Leicester Man U. So, yeah, between the three of us, we post a decent podcast. And we've put a few bets on the spreadsheet since that haven't been in podcast form, which have done really well. I think we've had 5 bets since the last podcast, with 4 of them winning. Ben Johnson, anytime goal scorer for West Ham v Brighton at 25-1. We've only put that down as a 1/4 point stake because there's no way we'd be staking a full point on that. So that's not skewing the results that much. We also had Leeds to beat West Brom. We had Newcastle plus 1.5 against Liverpool. Had a loser on Brighton plus 0 against Arsenal. And then we had Danny Ings, anytime goal scorer, which came in for Southampton against Liverpool. So we said at the start of the season, we'll be tracking it to £50 stakes. And if you add our bets together, lads, us three, that's £2,300 up this season. Of which, yeah, it's great. In the podcast, I think we're £1,054 up, because obviously the podcast is when we get together, we release the audio file. So that's less of a sample of bets there. But if you include the ones we've tweeted out when we haven't had time to do a podcast as well, getting towards £2.5 profit for listeners. So let's hope we can carry that on. Pete, I'm going to go to you first. I know you've got a few 1-point bets this week. Nothing that is a nap in terms of it being your strongest bet. But why don't you kick us off in the Arsenal-Newcastle game? I know Arsenal are playing tonight, so we don't know the consequences of tonight's game, but we're going on current market prices. Where do you see the value in that game?
We've been betting a lot against Arsenal recently, but I mean they have improved a bit, I would say, Arsenal. But I think still in this game, Newcastle +1 at looking at 2.25 is the value. Arsenal have improved, and there's a few games where they've started to create a few chances, but I still think, especially the Arsenal fans I know, seem to be getting very carried away over their win against West Brom, where they looked excellent. But of course, West Brom aren't even a Premier League side, really, are they? Even in the other games, they've done well, but they haven't really created those chances. And I think it's only three times, if you include that West Brom game, that they've actually won by more than 1 goal this season. One of them was that weird Chelsea game where the goals are flying in from 30 yards left, right, and centre. And I didn't watch the game. They played against Newcastle in the Cup. I assume they rotated teams a bit by both teams. It was 0-0, went to extra time. I think Arsenal were probably the better team. But I just think with a +1, to get odds against on a +1 against a team like Arsenal, who still need to improve, still not creating enough chances. And Newcastle, we always talk about Newcastle, where they just managed to get the job done somehow, okay, against these teams. I just think that's a good bet.
Yeah, it's definitely one I'd support. When I did my prices this week, the biggest value came out. Well, I'll tell you where the biggest value came out in a minute, but just behind was the Newcastle win or the draw in Arsenal-Newcastle. So I'm also absolutely on board a +1 start on the Asian handicap at not just evens, but it sounds like, was it 2.11 you were getting?
I think it was 2.25.
2.25, even better. 5-4 on Newcastle +1. We all know that I'm not a fan of Newcastle in the slightest, and they're the team that have cost me a lot of money when I've backed against them. And you might be asking, well, hold on, why are you backing them this week? It's because of the prices. The draw is 2-1. Sorry, no, the draw's almost 4-1, and Arsenal are what, 1.48? I can't be having Arsenal at 1.48.
Yeah, the other thing that I don't think I mentioned it, you might have mentioned it. I mean, it might not be a huge thing, but obviously they're playing tonight, Arsenal, and Newcastle played on Tuesday. So the extra 2 days rest certainly isn't going to do Newcastle any harm either.
Yeah, I had Newcastle at 5.6 and they're priced at 8.5. That's crazy, even for a shoddy Steve Bruce team that really don't have any proper goal scoring threat. Callum Wilson's done well this season, but in a 38 game season, I can't see him ever scoring 20 league goals in a season in the Premier League. They've still got arguably their best player out, Saint Maximin. Almiron can't control a football. They've got good defenders, apart from Dummett, but that's about it. Ash, where's your money here?
So when I was doing my numbers earlier, I've got Newcastle as value on the plus 1.25 line, which I'll probably play it very small. I don't like Arsenal at all, and obviously I don't like Newcastle. I've said multiple times just before Christmas and in other parts of the season, back then for relegation, they'll be shorter come Valentine's Day, and they're obviously shorter now because they're shit, despite fluking results against Liverpool and the likes. Yeah, I don't like Arsenal, so I think you have to back Newcastle here, and maybe take a little bit more of Arsenal to finish in the bottom half. That's drifted out nicely now, and it's kind of the time. Feels like a good time now to go against Arsenal. The hype's there about Saka and Smith Rowe because they've got a few points in Fantasy Premier League, so now they're the next best thing. So I'll probably play a bit of Newcastle plus 1-1, maybe plus 1.25, and then I'll look to do some stuff with Arsenal to finish in the bottom half, which is probably about 2-1 now, I think it is. So that's where I'll play it. I can't really disagree with
Arsenal, the next two games, obviously they're playing Palace at home tonight, Newcastle at home on Monday. They've had a good run of fixtures. I think they've played like West Brom. They've played some Brighton away on 2 extra days rest. But their fixtures after that are getting quite difficult. So it's probably something to monitor how they get on over these 2 games. And then what are you talking about?
Just to mention Arsenal tonight, actually. So I think Zaha's out, and the market looks like it's being told that as well. So I mean, whatever Arsenal do tonight is irrelevant, really, in terms of if they win. If they get beat by Palace, even if Zaha is playing, it would just go to highlight the fact that they're a shocking side who will probably finish 11th in the league.
So one thing we talked about recently is Aubameyang. Is he perhaps a bit past it? Is the role on the left-hand side of the attack constricting him a little bit? He's actually started to get in better positions and get shots off in recent games. That would be my only worry. He got 3 shots against West Brom, 3 against Brighton. I don't think he played against Chelsea. 4 against Burnley, and 1 against Southampton. So his shots taken are going up a little bit. So that's one thing that's a bit of a worry, is that Arsenal are looking like a good combination up top with Lacazette through the middle, Saka and Aubameyang either side, and Smith Rowe, who perhaps doesn't have the reputation as some of the other players, but does a more functional role in that number 10 position. But it looks like we've got a full house here of Newcastle on the Asian handicap, 5-4 for +1. I don't think we're going to have a full house with our next bet, which is where I've seen the most value. I've gone for West Brom to beat Wolves. Now, I had West Brom between 4 and 5-1. You're getting 7.8, which is almost 7-1 on them. So it's purely a price play for me here. So Sam Allardyce's team to get the 3 points at 7.80. I think if this game was played 5 times, they could probably nick a win once. So the odds saying West Brom win only 12.5%. I think it's closer to 20. Wolves, they're a different team under Jimenez. They're not as adept at holding the ball up. They're not going to score as many headers. So 2 of their 3 ways of playing has stopped. They've still got the other, which is counter-attack. But then, even in that respect, they're missing Podence, who's injured. Traore and Neto both need to pass fitness tests after picking up knocks against Everton. So even with their counter-attack, they could be missing some key players there. And then at the back, Bolly, this game might come 1 game too soon for Bolly, who's absolutely vital for them there. And they've looked a lot more shaky without him. Johnny's still missing. He's been missing for a long time. So I think it's a good time to be playing Wolves. Fabio Silva came, some people say, because he's a great prospect. Others say because of links with the agent. He hasn't shown that he's able to lead the line yet, and not many 18-year-olds would be able to. I know West Brom are a bit shit. They're full of good Championship players, but like I said, it's a great time to play Wolves. Obviously, I'm worried that their lack of attacking threat, but I can see Allardyce instructing West Brom to sit back, not as much as against Liverpool, maybe, but still to sit back, because I think Wolves aren't the best at breaking down a team that sit very, very deep on the edge of their own box. So another play I like is 0-0 at half-time, which is 2.62, because I can see it being low-scoring and tight to begin with. Anyone supporting me on West Brom?
No, basically. I just can't have West Brom at all. So what Sam Allardyce does is he takes teams that aren't in the relegation zone to not in the relegation zone, and then spends lots of money in that short period and gets called a hero. He done it at Palace. Palace weren't going down. He done it at Everton. Everton weren't going down. When he was a Palace manager, he got beat 4-0 at home by Sunderland, for fuck's sake. I mean, the guy's an absolute fraud. And the
I feel like you're letting your own bias get in the way here, Ash.
No, you look at the numbers. Even when he was manager of Everton, I think they had less shots on target, conceded more shots than they did under Marco Silva. I think they were actually in the bottom 3 on stats. They just seem to have enough quality players to stay up. Little bits of magic here and there. West Brom don't have that. Ryan Snodgrass? Yeah. He's not going to be the guy that helps them. They're still odds against Robert Snodgrass, that's it, sorry. See, Championship players don't know their names. West Brom are still odds against to finish bottom. It won't be there on the 2nd of February when they get beat by Sheffield United. So I'm just taking more and more of that. And if I die on that hill, so be it. But yeah, West Brom are an absolute joke of a team, and the sooner they're not in the league, the better.
I just threw this game out because, like you're saying, Wolves have got so many injuries. I'm not sure how they're gonna come through. West Brom now, a new manager. At least he's had probably a bit of training time. But you look at the games, like against Liverpool, they got a draw. You're like, oh, that's okay. But then, as we mentioned before, didn't they lose like 5-0 against Leeds, 4-0 against Arsenal, 4-0 against another team? Who was it? Like Southampton or someone? Oh, no, lost 3-0 against Villa. So I don't really know what we're going to get from West Brom. When I ran the numbers, they came out at about 9-1, so it wouldn't be that much value. And for me, I'm just get rid of this game. Just too many unknowns for me.
Okay. I'm going to stick to my guns. It's a 1-point play for me. As you heard, listeners, there's not support from the panel. But do you want to listen to the person that's come out with 46.59% ROI this season in the Premier League or not? No, I completely expected there to be a lack of support for this. You know my thoughts on West Brom. I have them down as a terrible team. On the PBBR, they are bottom. So it's just, I think it's a great time. Pete, you mentioned Allardyce might have had a bit of time to instill some of his ideas in training, he's actually been bemoaning the lack of the ability to do that because training is getting separated into 3 small groups because of coronavirus regulations and advice from the West Brom doctor. So he's not even been able to do that. So that's yet another reason not to support my bet.
He was also complaining about Brexit stopping him from buying some players or something, wasn't he? I heard something about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that because Brexit should make it easier to buy players who are playing in marquee kind of leagues. So
What?
it'd help most Premier League teams, but I guess it
Wow.
wouldn't help to buy unknown players from, say, Scandinavia, because you get less points. You need 15 points, and you get less points if you are playing in Scandinavia compared to Real Madrid. So if you're named in the matchday squad of a Champions League game for Real Madrid, you almost get enough points just from that to qualify for the criteria to be a transfer brought in. However, if you play almost every game in the Finnish top tier and you're not playing for Finland's national team, you're going to struggle to get in. So I think that's where he's coming from. Still a few things to be ironed out on that point system, but look,
I mean, Sam Allardyce, he's like a 101 shot to have voted Brexit. Like,
No, he did. He said that he did, yeah.
he just stopped moaning. He
Exactly.
won over it. Brexit. Go and fucking. Oh,
well, how about you stop moaning? You've had a carrot up your arse all podcast. Give us a bet.
Okay, I will. I'll give you a bet that will absolutely fly in. Southampton plus a half away at Leicester. We love Southampton. We all do here, don't we? Now, the problems with Leicester, they get some good results, and I'm not going to knock them. Jamie Vardy isn't really getting shots off in the box at all. It's not really his game. Well, that is exactly his game. He's just not doing it. So they're relying on Harvey Barnes and James Maddison, doing low XG stuff from midfield. Now, we do say a lot about Southampton and the way that Ward-Prowse's free kicks have been amazing and helped them out, with the low XG stuff. But Southampton have been good year on year for, what we say now, 3-4 years. Danny Ings is back. Shea Adams should have recovered from concussion. McCarthy should have recovered from coronavirus. They're a good side. We all know it. And I would not have Leicester at odds on to win this game. I'd have them nearer the 2.25 mark. So I think Southampton are about a quarter of a goal wrong here. So Southampton plus a half at 2.05, so 21-20. I don't think they lose this game. I can see them scoring. Don't fancy Leicester to score 2. That is me there.
Yeah, I do like Southampton in this game. I've actually gone for them on the straight win. On the straight win on Smarkets, you can get almost 4-1, 4.90. I don't think there's as much difference between the two teams as the odds suggest. Pete, I think you're in favour of Southampton in this as well for the full house, aren't you?
I think Ash was reading my notes, to be honest. I don't love Southampton, but Leicester, I just don't think they're that good. Like, it's just sort of an unsustainable wave of performance they've been going. They've got season-long expected goal ratio of 46%. So I don't expect them. I just thought this price was to do with the sort of team news that Ash was talking about. But when I looked into it, it's nowhere near as bad as it initially looked. And most of the team is going to be back. And because it could be a tight game, draws in play, I do prefer the plus a half.
Yeah, I think the draw's about correctly priced for me. So that's why I'm going for the straight win here. I had the draw as 4.15, and it's actually something like 3.9. So yeah, for me it's just a straight win. Leicester, if you take away their penalties, they've got around 17 expected goals this season. Southampton have got 15 if you take away penalties. So there's not actually that much difference when it comes to the attacking prowess. And obviously when you look at conceded, there's not that much difference either. Southampton have only conceded 19 expected goals. Leicester have conceded 20. So Southampton a little bit better on that statistic. In terms of shots they're getting off as well, you look at those stats, I think it's just under 200 for Leicester, and Southampton a bit lower. Southampton about 175. So Leicester probably getting off, 2 shots more per game. But the expected goals metric tells you they're coming from penalties and shooting from positions where you wouldn't expect there to be troubling a goalkeeper. I think the difference is too big. I'm really happy here to actually go maybe 1.5 points on the Asian and 0.5 point on the straight win. That way we've staking 2 points to show our confidence there. Ash, any other bets for you this week?
So a lot of it is to do with the Palace news tonight. So I don't like Palace that much, but Man City are an unders team now. If Zaha's out, Palace won't score at Man City. If Zaha's playing, Palace probably won't score at Man City. So Palace +2 is, I think it's a bet, and I think at worst you'll get your money back. The way I would look at it now, I would not play it now. I would wait for the team news tonight and the comments to see what's happening with Zaha, because Palace will drift if Zaha is not fit, not playing. But to me, it doesn't really make much difference to the game. Palace will go there, try and defend. Whether Zaha's on the pitch or not on the pitch, they'll try and look for him. So there'll be aimless balls out to the left. And that's that. This is not a pro Palace play. This is a Man City are a different team this season who are happy to go and win games 1-0, 2-0, and just get the job done. All in preparation for the tactical awareness of the later stages of the Champions League. Yeah,
without playing a traditional number 9, it obviously lends himself to relying on late third stage runs from deeper players to go past whoever's playing in that false position. And it's something that they still haven't got quite right, but they definitely got the players to play that system. Pep looks to have really tried to shore them up defensively, like you say, with having harder games in mind where they could come a cropper on the counter-attack. I can see a 2-0 Man City win here. So I think the refund's well in play with the +2 on Crystal Palace. I don't think I've got a massively strong opinion. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, I don't have a really strong opinion, but I agree with the unders play normally, because I think people still can't get their head around the fact that Man City have become by far the best defensive team in the league, and it's so difficult for them to concede goals now, especially at home against these sort of teams without the real individual quality. So yeah, it's something I'm probably going to leave alone with this one. But I think if you just backed unders at Man City home games, you're probably looking okay.
You are flying this season. 2.78 it was against Brighton, 2.75 against Newcastle. I think it was 3.1 against Fulham. Loads of games. It's been a great bet this season. And even last season when they were scoring goals, you still came ahead because they had unders in just random games.
Is it a back in this game at 2.75?
Yes.
Pete?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Right, I'll tell you what then. Let's put a point on Ash's bet of... Do you know what? I'm gonna downgrade Ash's bet to 3/4 of a point because it involves Crystal Palace. And I'm not sure... I'm going to do some statistical analysis, but I'm not sure his record... Actually, we'll keep it at 1 point. So we'll do a point on under 2.5 at 2.75, a point on Palace at +2. So we've got a bit at stake there.
Yeah.
Pete, I think you wanted to discuss how Liverpool are a value bet to beat top of the league, Manchester United.
Yeah. I want to back Liverpool here. Of course, the thing always in the back of your mind is this lack of centre-backs. But I think as long as Reece Williams or Nat Phillips aren't playing, they can put pretty much anyone there and be okay. it's just this thing about Man U. Like we said before, probably a month or two ago, people complained about Solskjaer. Now they're top of the league. And it's just the fine lines. Like you look at their last 3 games, they played against Wolves, they got a deflected goal in the last minute. Against Villa, game again could have gone either way. Villa were looking good, they get a dodgy penalty. And then against Burnley, they get a double deflected goal, 3 1-goal wins, all of which on another day may not have happened. They're playing well, Man U, but not top of the league well. And I just think Liverpool, if they come up against this Liverpool front three, Liverpool haven't been firing on all cylinders recently, but I think they certainly a game at home against Man U, they can easily turn it on. And odds against is just a bit too big. I look at the Man U, even their box shot ratio for the whole season, only 52%, expected goals 56%. Liverpool's up at 65 and 63. So I think Liverpool are a better team. Even if they put, with Thiago back, they could even put a Fabinho-Henderson centre-back partnership. And I still think they'll be fine. They'll score enough goals. So, yeah, I'm going to back Liverpool at 2.07 to win.
Ash, are you a backer of Liverpool here?
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not odds on. I mean, it's the Premier. This idea Man United are going to win the league is ridiculous, isn't it? It's a 2-horse race, and it's kind of a 1-horse race because Man City will win it by over 7 points. But Man City and Liverpool, best 2 teams in this league. Man United aren't winning the league. Bruno Fernandes will at some point regress to the mean. He's got 7 goals over his XG this season. 6 goals over his expected assists, and that's not, and he's like 4 goals over his non-penalty XG. He will regress, and when he regresses, Man United will regress, because he is Man United now, and that's they look to him for everything.
The problem with Liverpool though is Pete mentioned 2 players who aren't cutting the mustard. So if they play Fabinho and Henderson at centre-back, you have to fancy Man U to get a goal there. I was looking at both teams to score an over 2.5, and I wanted evens, but it's about 1.9, so I think I'm going to leave it. I'm happy for us to put a point on Liverpool to win. I'm not really sure how this game's going to go. If Pogba's out, I think that's good for Man U because it means they'll definitely play McTominay and Fred. I don't think Pogba tends to play well in these sort of big games. I think Man United look a more balanced team without him. But Bailly could be out as well. He's defended brilliantly recently. So with Lindelof back, how can you not think that Salah, Firmino and Mane are going to get a goal against that back 4? So I don't really know what to expect. For me, it's a no bet, but I'm going to support you gentlemen, and we'll go for Liverpool to win the game. Any other bets? Pete, I think you had one more.
Yeah, let's have a go at West Ham to beat Burnley. I've talked about how I like West Ham this season. I think you look at their stats, are still good, 53% on most of the shot ratios, goal ratios. Burnley improved a bit, but even watching against Man U, they just lack that quality. And to score, everything needs to go perfectly for the whole team. And even then, West Ham, they played on Monday. Burnley played on Tuesday. Extra day's rest for West Ham. And also that Burnley game, that looked like a tough game against Man U. That second half, they were defending the whole game. They were looking tired. So I think 1.84, I think, on West Ham to win at home. I think they'll just have enough quality to win the game.
Listeners, thanks so much for joining us again. We hope we're profitable for you. We're going to put all the bets on the spreadsheet. So you're going to see every bet listed on our spreadsheet. Go to @SaveThePunter on Twitter. It will be in our pinned tweet. Ash, Pete, thank you very much, gents.
Have a good one.
Enjoy your weekends.
Cheers. Very well.